a public consultation session on the new Passamaquoddy Lodge on Monday, March 1st, 2021 at 6 p.m. Of attendance of this meeting, I note that all members of council are in attendance with the exception of Councillor Akaji, who we hope could join us later. I will look now for a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll move, your worship.
Councillor Grew, your worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and
I'll second that. Your
Councillor
worship.
Grew seconding it.
Yes, your worship.
Thank you. There aren't any questions. All in favor of the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. I will now move to disclosure of conflict of interest. In relation to any matter. Hearing none, we move on. We'll now go to presentation, and the Caroline Davies, on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Passamaquoddy Lodge, will present to us the board's plan for a new Passamaquoddy Lodge. I might add that I welcome all members of the public that may be listening in. Also, there are a number of members of the Board of Directors who I'm sure are listening in this evening. So I will turn it over to Caroline Davies.
Your worship, before it goes there, I just want to note that Councillor Akaji has arrived to the meeting.
Great, thank you. Welcome, Councillor Akaji.
You may go ahead, Carolyn.
Okay, well, good evening, your worship and councillors, and hello to Chris and Paul and Xander, who continue to answer questions no matter how many times I ask the same one. I guess I should start writing down the answers. I'd also like to thank everybody who's either watching this or participating in the Zoom call. You know, it's another opportunity for us to explain what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to preserve a tremendous asset for the community of St. Andrews and area. Paul, can you run the
Share screen, yep.
slideshow?
Do you see the slideshow?
I just want to start by, I'm not, yep. I'm not sure how much everybody, well, I know that the mayor and councillors are well aware of what we're trying to do, but I'm not sure everybody, how many other people are as aware. So I thought I'd just do a short presentation and then take any questions or comments or feedback that people want to give us. What we are looking at doing, the board of directors and the administrative staff of Passamaquoddy Lodge are looking to renew our nursing home and to renew our role within the community that we reside in. Next slide. Can you do the next slide, Paul? Thanks.
Which one, the community needs?
Back one.
Okay.
As many of you are aware, the Age-Friendly Community Committee did considerable assessment of the needs of, could you go back one, please, Paul?
It's just your cover slide.
Did a very in-depth assessment of the needs of the community, and one of the, or a number of the issues that came out of those, the tools that we used, focus groups, community consultation efforts, surveys, was that we have some tremendous assets and services at the lodge, and we need to be better integrated into the community, and we need to increase the number of intergenerational opportunities that we currently have ongoing between the lodge and people within the community. The other thing that has driven this initiative is in 2018, the Board of Directors of Passamaquoddy Lodge had a strategic planning session, and one of the top priorities, if not the top priority, was to move to a 60-bed, individual bed facility. Right now we have 20 individual beds and 20 double beds, and the rooms, even the double rooms, if they were occupied by a single individual, do not meet current size standards for the province. And people who have needs of a walker and a wheelchair, there's not room enough for their equipment in their room, plus a chair for visitors. So we've been pushing to get a larger rooms or larger individual rooms for each resident. The other thing that was driving this was the provincial direction to look at aging in place and aging in care. Can you do the next slide there, Paul, please? One of the big things was we have a building that is going to be 50 years old in a couple of years, and which has been identified as needing almost $3 million in maintenance and upgrades if we're to keep it running. And when we approached the province about adding on to this building and doing those repairs, the feedback was we would be investing in an aging facility that we'd be frustrated with in short order, and we should be looking at building a new facility. Next slide, please. Yeah, I've covered that. Next slide. In working on this, and as you can see, if we started in 2018, it's now 2021, we've been doing considerable work. We've also had the misfortune in some respects, but it's been a wake-up call in others that of COVID in 2020 and continuing on. And what we are looking for is to have a facility that would support infection control, whether it's COVID-19, whether it's Norwalk, whether it's Legionnaires, whatever virus that can run through a common or communal housing. We want to be able to protect our residents and their family members and the staff as much as possible. We also want to increase the person-centered culture that we have ongoing. But we need a better facility. We need more tools. We need more space. So that is also driving our request for a new facility. And we believe that we will have a pandemic responsive solution with the design that we're proposing. Next slide. Yeah, thanks. There are two models for nursing homes, and somebody could say, well, maybe there are others, or there are more, but there are two basic models. One is institutional, such as we currently have, where you have long corridors, rooms off the corridors, and you think that you're either in a hospital or a school or some other institutional facility. The other model is that of a household, where you actually have buildings that are houses and that are centered around the common areas we all enjoy in our own personal dwellings. Next slide, Paul, please. As we looked at our design criteria and the design criteria for the household model, it met all the points that we were trying to hit. Sorry, for some reason or other, I've just lost the presentation.
Carolyn, you were on household and design criteria.
Yeah, and I've just lost my whole screen. In the household model would be individual rooms with adjoining individual bathrooms. So it would be private bedrooms, private bathrooms. They would each household would have their own kitchen, dining room, and living room. They would have access to the outdoors. The houses would be centered around a common area. So there would, you would be able to look out at your neighbors. There would be a community gathering space. So whether it was for festive celebrations, somebody's family wants to come in and have a party with their family members, musicians coming in, an adult day program where people in the community can come in, maybe do a cooking lesson or have a meal together. That would be some of the things we're looking at with the community gathering space. We would focus on the interior design to be home-like, and the exterior design to be also home-like with amenities such as porches and landscaping that would break up the facade, such as most of us try to do. Maybe others are more successful than me with our own homes. Next slide. This is just an image of the what the living room would look like, centered around a hearth, and where people could gather, whether it's the family members, the residents themselves with the staff. Just to give you, this is the type of focus that we want to have. Next slide. Well, these pictures are for the most part of two-story buildings. We're not proposing two-story buildings, but the images to give you the idea of how they'd have a shared green space that they would all look out on, and then they could all go into, whether it's for a walk, whether it's to sit in the sunshine or do some gardening, whatever the interests of the individuals are. So where we're at today, next slide, Paul. We've been working with a company called Greenhouse Project, which is an American-based company that has promoted person-centered care. They have promoted the household design. Their recommendation is that you have 12 rooms to each house. They have a number of universities and colleges in the States that do research on their over 300 facilities across the States. So there is a tremendous amount of evidence, of knowledge, and of research that supports this proposal and how this household model works. And one example, and don't ask me for the statistics because I don't have them at my fingertip, but in the US over the course of this last year, when they compared the household model, the Greenhouse Project houses to other nursing homes, the number of people who caught or died of COVID was very, very, the difference was just amazing to the advantage of the greenhouse model. So we've opted for the household model. We have, we hired an architectural firm to give us a design concept. It is just that, it is a concept. We have no firm plans. We cannot have any, we're not going to invest any more money in coming up with an actual detailed drawings until the province approves the way forward. We've also did a site test fit, which is you take your design concept and see how it fits on the pieces of land that you're hoping to build on. So we've done that. Again, it is engineers were not involved. We do not have the final design. It's just to get us an idea that how much land we would need and how we can configure the concept that we have in mind on that land. And we are looking at program integration. One of the things we have been looking at is the Passamaquoddy, I'm going to use the word daycare. I know that's not the actual name for it or official name for it, but we are looking at maybe co-housing them with the new nursing home. They would have their own building, but they would be able to visit, as they do now, the residents in the nursing home, and we could we could all enjoy watching the children play and you know, do their artwork and whatnot. The other thing, we've been talking with Sortie on the trails. They are hoping to have the trail come by the nursing home so that, you know, people can come by, walk by, drop in, maybe have a coffee, visit with their friends. We've talked to Huntsman about enhancing our programs so that we could maybe either bring a touch pool to the nursing home or bring our residents to the aquarium. Those are in very much in the infancy stages. So we've been doing an awful lot of work trying to figure out how we can build a new facility that everybody in the community can benefit from, not just residents, their families and staff. So this is probably the slide that most people would like to see. Again, Paul, the next one, just a reminder, this is a conceptual design only. It is what we needed though to see if we could actually fit it on the piece of land on the Bar Road, at the corner of Bar Road and Champlain. The access to the facility would be off Bar Road. So visitors coming in, Cisco truck coming in, all these would enter and leave by the Bar Road. They would not come through the subdivision. The buildings fronting on to the Bar Road would be our main community hub, our facilities, our kitchen, the daycare, our administrative offices. And in behind them would be we are proposing 5 houses. Again, this is our proposal. We have not yet had agreement from the province. 5 households of 12 bedrooms each with their own kitchen, dining, and living room. So the residents would eat together as a family. Their family members could come and eat at the communal table with them, and they would have much more sense of home. We are looking at probably about a 30-meter buffer at the bottom end of that site between what we're hoping to build and the property line. So we're very conscious of the fact that there are residents there. We're trying to add residents to this community. We're trying to make it a part of a residential area rather than an institution in a residential area. Our next steps, we have to brief politicians. We have to obtain the government's approval to move forward. Once we do that, we will need to obtain the land and finalize our design of the building. There will be negotiation with the provincial authorities. The design might change. I am not going to try and guess how it could change. I do not believe they're going to want to have an institutional design. So I believe it'll be a household design, but whether it's as you see here, I can't foresee. And I guess I am available to take questions.
Thank you, Carolyn. Does anybody on council have a question? This is a public consultation, but certainly council welcome to question as well.
Yes, if I could, Your Worship. Wondering, I guess from a council perspective right now and phone calls that I think we might all be receiving is, I think everybody loves the design and the concept. I don't think anyone as far as council is going to be getting into this is the way it should be designed and things like this. The thing that I'm hearing right now from multiple, a few different people, which is natural, is it's in a residential area right now. Basically, the subdivision is residential housing, and some of the property owners in the area have some concern that essentially, although it be institutional zoned, it's a 365-day-a-year business, 24 hours a day, where delivery trucks are coming, visitors are coming to visit people, etc. So I guess I guess just for complete transparency is I definitely want the town to be a partner in this. I think that could potentially be the site, but I just think that the whole purpose of tonight would be to have some information for people that might have concerns in the area about the impacts it has on, you know, their property and their homes. So I don't think for a town perspective, anyone really, and you know, they might have questions on design, but I think it's just making sure that that's the best place for such an important asset to our community, because there's no question everybody agrees that this is a very good project and it's something that moves our community ahead. It's just, is this the right area is what I'm hearing. So I guess to lead that off is, I do have questions for staff as well, but is, I guess the thing that jumps out to me is what would lighting be like? Because, you know, it's just off the screen of the site test bit is there is homes that are back to that. I was wondering on kind of back of those residents' houses, how much lighting there would be that could potentially be shining in their backyards.
So that's a great question, and one that we definitely will be looking into. In terms of how much lighting at this point, I don't know, in large part because this is not a final design. Another issue is we do not know, or I do not know, whether there are requirements to turn out the lights at night or turn them on. You know, those are all issues that we definitely will speak to both the design and the province about, because I hear it. I hear you. One comment I will make, the current facility is also in a residential area, and it might be one of the things we could do is ask some of the people in that area if there are lighting or noise. I hear your comment about the traffic, which is why we said it will come in on and off Bar Road and not through off Champlain. But I think that is, you've raised a good question for us to canvass some of the neighbors where the lodge currently is and see if they find that there is light or more light than a street light would give and that sort of thing.
And just something for council to consider is I'm not sure what the distance of the buffer would be between this development and basically the houses, but if it's 10 meters with winds, we've seen it when we've had other developments that unfortunately the trees don't weather it. And it's just a matter of them, you know, essentially looking in their backyards and seeing this. So those are my only real concerns. I do know I think our municipal plan, it said that in subdivisions, we need 8% maybe green space. I don't know if I'm quoting that percentage right, but I just think it might be an opportunity between this institutional development and the residential area to maybe take advantage of that 8% to give a little bit extra buffer in order for the people that own homes to feel like, you know, it's not in their backyard. But again, I love the plan, how the traffic goes on the Bar Road. It's a beautiful layout. It moves our community so far ahead. People, as they, you know, a lot of people do come here to retire, and to know that this facility is in our community, it certainly strengthens the attractiveness for people to move here. And because a lot of people, you know, they just don't want to retire. They want to stay in their home community for as long as possible. And this will certainly provide that. So I don't want to come across negative, because I fully support this project. It's just, I want to make sure that the voice is heard for people that are nearby, to make sure all their concerns are addressed as well. But that's it for me. Thank you very much for the presentation again.
Yeah, and I think you've hit a really good. I think you've hit a really good point, Brad. And one of the criteria for us is landscaping. Landscaping, not just to have bushes by the front door, but landscaping to delineate the property and provide a bit of a sound barrier, a bit of a light barrier. So the landscaping, I mean, we've indicated to the architect that one of the requirements would be to spend time, effort, and money on proper landscaping, so that we're not looking into somebody else's backyard. And we do respect that it is a residential area.
If I may, Your Worship.
Yes, you may.
Carolyn, just for my interest's sake, would the capital plan that the province does in the fall be where this announcement would come out of? Or could it just, any time of the year, they can make an announcement that they're going to continue to fund, or that they're going to go ahead and fund this project and move ahead?
Good question. We've been asking ourselves the same question, Chris. I'm hoping that they won't wait until fall. We have a very dedicated committee working on this, and have been working on it for nearly 3 years. And we've done our due diligence. I think we need to, this is a good opportunity for us to get input from the community, so which is one area we hadn't done anything in because we weren't sure what we were selling without the province's approval. We're pushing to try and get approval this spring, and it remains to be seen. The province has a lot of other demands on their time and attention, so we might get pushed to the fall, but we are pushing for the spring.
Your Worship,
Yes.
Councillor Grew, I believe, has a comment or question.
Yeah, Councillor Grew, thank you.
Councillor Grew, you are on mute.
Thank you. Caroline, I was wondering if there were any plans to have some sort of fencing around the property. Is that in the I guess your plans?
Councillor Grew, you may want to repeat.
Yeah. I think she might be having some communications problems. I'm not sure. Caroline, I was just wondering if you have any plans to fence the property. I don't know if the existing Passamaquoddy Lodge has fencing, but I don't know. Is that part of the plans?
So I'll apologize. I was kicked off. So maybe somebody's trying to tell me something. Anyway, there will be fencing in terms of protecting our residents, saving them from wandering.
Yes.
There will not be, we are not looking at fencing the outline of the property. I think that would detract from the community but that's something maybe we should, as we go forward, and once we have provincial approval, maybe that's something we should consult with both you at the town and the neighborhood as to whether they want to see a fence around the property.
Thank you.
Your Worship, would you like to address council?
Yeah, certainly. Also, any other questions?
Through Your Worship, this one's more for staff, but as we know, CBCL is working on a potential subdivision expansion, I guess say feasibility and model. I was wondering for that exercise, do they know of this project and are they accounting for that to be land towards it? I'm just wondering how this fits in with that piece since they're directly connected.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And actually, they were informed of it and have placed it inside the report just as a discussion point, I guess, knowing that it may not be there, but knowing council has made at least support to provide that land for the development, future development. So they've included that as part of their initial design, just to see how it fits in with the rest of the potential expansion.
And then one more question, if I may, Your Worship, just and then I'll be quiet. So the site has a number of advantages, one being its proximity to Highway 127 to, for whether it be deliveries or whether it be an ambulance or something. It's certainly got some accessibility advantages. It's very convenient to get in and out of town compared to the current location, which you would have to go throughout the entire community pretty much to get there through Prince of Wales. But what I'm wondering is kind of other locations that have been looked at. The one in particular that I would just, I think it would need staff to assist, but council passed a motion to support a knowledge park at Huntsman. And that knowledge park would be all institutional. I'm just wondering, I'm thinking that if the group that was looking for the board of the Passamaquoddy was to approach them, I think it's a situation where they'd have to buy the land, which would make it not as attractive. But I was wondering if there was ever an opportunity for the town to go with the committee for this new lodge and approach Huntsman about potentially site options. And where I'm going with that is exchanging land for maybe services. And since that would all be institutional, a development like this could help spur the beginning of such a park. So again, not saying that this isn't a site that it can be, just looking at all options at the table to make sure that when we do this, it's going to, fuel our whole community the way that it possibly could. So yeah, just again, I don't know if that's been done or not.
Well, I guess, okay. I guess maybe
Go
just,
ahead, Chris.
sorry, Carolyn. From staff's perspective, it's a little tricky because it's private land for that area. And I'm comfortable to say that in earlier meetings, I think the committee had identified other locations, that this is not their only location, but it's the best property that is owned by the town of St. Andrews that they could potentially do there. So if there's other locations that is owned by a third party, I think they are actively looking at those as well, but this is not their only one.
We have met with Huntsman to look at the land that they have available. The land that they propose, we consider would basically result in us either doing row housing with a big institute or going back to an institutional look. It just does not lend itself to having a common area that all the houses would share. And we would probably have the community hub off on a side. I don't know that it would give the feeling of a residential community that we're hoping to get. So unless other land comes up that would fit the template that we're looking at in that area, I don't know, I'm not sure we can pursue it.
That's understandable. Thank you for clarifying that.
Your worship, would you like to address council?
Yeah, just to say that if there's anybody else, before I turn to Mr. Knopper to see if there's anyone else online that wishes to speak who's listening in. Is there anyone else on council who has a comment for this?
I'd just like to say something if you don't mind.
Yeah, certainly.
I think the design is really, really very useful. I really like the design. It seems like it would be more like a home-like atmosphere rather than institutional, and I think that makes people feel a lot more comfortable and things. So I would say that's a great design, and hopefully you'll be able to go with a design something similar to that. Thank you, and thank you for all your work for yourself and the committee.
Thank you, Councilor Bishop.
Your worship,
Yes.
I'd like to reiterate what Councilor Bishop has said, Carolyn, with your committee and all the work that you've put into it and all the people that you've had helping you. It's awesome. I like the idea of houses rather than institution. I think that'll be a great idea. I'm looking forward to it going forward, and hopefully the government will act soon so that we do have a new facility for our seniors. It would be lovely to have, so, and for their workers as well. Thank you very much for all your work and committee.
Thanks, Councillor Akaji.
Thank you.
Mr. Knopper, is there anyone online wishing to ask a question?
Your worship, I did have a couple of registered, so I'm actually going to go to Mr. Bob Neal. Mr. Neal, you have the floor to council if you wish to provide any comment or question.
Thank you. I guess first, just a question for council. Will this presentation be put up on the town website?
Your worship, yes, it will be on the website tomorrow.
That's good, because it's a little difficult to see the site plan from small screen. But as one of the homeowners who will be abutting onto the lodge, I have a few concerns I'd like to see addressed before this location gets approval by council. And one concern is the orientation of the buildings on the lot. The building layout design, the pod design, it looks as though it can be very flexible, but as it sits right now, it's the south side of the footprints, very close to the backyards of the properties in Diana. Only a few meters of trees and very shallow rooted trees in between. I heard Caroline say 30 meters, but in reality, there's quite a drainage channel in there that takes up a big chunk of that, which is cleared, was put in by the town years ago. Every year we're losing more of those trees, and once the property is opened up, I expect that will accelerate, just reinforcing what Deputy Mayor Henderson said there. I'm not sure it has to be that way, and I'd like the proponent to consider a realignment to provide a greater buffer between the lodge and the neighbours. I do have a few other concerns, and rather than take up your time tonight with them, though, I'll lay them out in an email once I get a chance to look at the presentation tomorrow on, or whenever it shows up on the website. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and it is a great project.
Thank you, Mr. Neal.
Your worship, I'm actually going to go to a couple of emails that have come in. So this one is from Gerald and Diane Ingersoll. It says, "Dear Mayor and Council, we think it's a great idea to locate the new lodge at the corner of Bar Road and Champlain Avenue. It would be easy to access off the main road coming into town. It would make the entrance to the subdivision more attractive. It might open up more housing opportunities in that part for the town. And kudos to council for working in collaboration with the board of the Passamaquoddy Lodge to seek a solution for senior care and housing." The second email I've received, your worship, is from Ravinder Singh at 98 Diana Drive, and it's a few questions. In the interest of public transparency, I would like to know what the price of the land is that the lodge is requesting to build on. There's a few questions here. Do you want to go question by question, your worship?
Yeah, certainly. I don't know if I can answer any of them, but I'll count on Mr. Spear if he knows some of them. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so again, the first question, I would like to know what the price of the land is that the lodge is requesting to build on.
I think that's yet to be determined. I think we can say that. We have not made any sort of a deal with the lodge at this point in time.
Okay. Second question is, does the town have any plans for the proceeds of the sale?
One would assume, Mr. Spear, help me out here if you need to, one would assume that anytime the town sells anything, that becomes part of revenue to the town, to the taxpayers of the town.
That's correct, your worship. And the council of the day can make a decision on what best way that money can be allocated.
Okay. The third question is, can we have more information on the daycare? I believe this will go to more for Carolyn for later. It is news to me that the daycare is being proposed for this site and changes the traffic flow, especially in the summer when the Bar Road can be busy with traffic to Minister's Island. And those were all the comments from Ravinder Singh.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Singh.
And your worship, I have one final question. It is from Mr. Vic Miller. It says, if there's a building of the new lodge, what will happen to the old one? Will it remain open?
I don't know that I can answer that question myself, but perhaps Caroline, could you tackle that question?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. we are hoping that the new lodge could be, or the legacy home, the current lodge could be transformed into affordable housing or some such asset to the community. As we all know, a lot of people can't find a place to live in St. Andrews. So that is what we hope will happen to that building. It's a large building and there are a lot of amenities to it. So, but it's not something that the board of Passamaquoddy Lodge is going to take on their own. Our focus is on getting a new facility for our residents and staff. I just want to reiterate one point in answer to some of the questions. We are very much at the concept phase of this idea, this initiative. Once we receive approval from the province to move forward, we will be consulting with much more detail and much more information with the town and with community residents. So you can look at the slides that we've presented tonight. I just caution that you don't take them, that nobody came and measured the land and measured the buildings that we're going to put on it, because we don't even know if the province is going to approve that concept. So your feedback is very welcome. We will incorporate that as we move forward. And I think it's really positive to have this type of feedback and have this type of dialogue. So hopefully we can do it maybe in a, not that we don't like the town council involved, but maybe we can do it in a less formal fashion as we move out of yellow and zone and orange and whatever other color of the rainbow, where we can get that input from the community directly, which would be super.
Agreed. So we're still very early in the process, even though you've been working at it for some time wonderfully and working hard at it. There's still a number of big steps that have to be taken, and the design's not final, the location's not final, and there's going to be much more consultation as we proceed. I think that's the message I take. Is that correct, Caroline?
You
Your
summed
worship,
it up
Council-
very well. Thank you.
Your worship, I have a question, if I may.
Yes,
Or more
certainly.
of a comment. In response to Mr. Singh's question, it might be a valuable item for staff to look at is the fair market value of the land that has been requested, so that future councils will know what the magnitude of the ask is. And if that could be determined, I think it would expedite and speed up the whole process for future councils if we had that number readily available. So that might be a bit of homework for staff to do to find out what is the fair market value of that piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Groom.
Your worship, if I may interject just
Yeah,
quickly.
certainly.
I just want to remind staff and council that the public and council that if this does go ahead at this particular location, there's still going to be a lot of discussion between the council of the day and the board of the lodge on what is required. That usually in these types of deals, and we've had other experience, that we get a development agreement where the town can basically negotiate what exactly they want there, not so much the design of the property, but things like the buffer zones or traffic studies, stormwater management, all that stuff. And so the board and Carolyn certainly expressed this tonight are wide open to more discussion and things, that it's not a done deal, that the financing is still yet to come. And certainly if it's, announced tomorrow, fingers crossed that it was approved, there'd still be a lot of steps to go with council and to make this a reality. So there's still going to be lots of avenues for people to provide input once we start to get into more final design. Thank you, Your Worship.
Mr. Knopper, anyone else? Any more input?
Your
from the
Worship?
community?
Yeah,
Yes.
Your worship, I haven't received any other further emails at this point, and the other members that are on the meeting tonight are the members of the board of the Passamaquoddy Lodge. I believe Carolyn Davies speaks on behalf of them, so I would say there is no further questions at this point or comment.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knopper. Council, I think that at this point in time, I think that's a wrap for us for now, but with the understanding to the public that this is just the beginning of a consultation process as this moves forward. But the next big thing is for the members of the public of St. Andrews to support the board to the provincial government and tell them that we want a new nursing home in our community. That, I think, is the loud message that we should be supporting, and where it is and exactly how it looks and how big the buffer zones are all yet to be determined and negotiable at this point in time. So anyway, Mr. Knopper, I will look for a motion to adjourn our consultation meeting for now and look forward to more consultations in the future. So could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Akagi, and a seconder.
I'll second it.
Okay, Councillor Grew, I saw Councillor Grew first. All in favor of adjournment, please signify. Any opposed? We're adjourned. And thank you to the Board of Directors for the presentation and for Caroline for making the presentation.
Council, please note you do have to switch sessions.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. I had difficulty getting on because that thing came up again. So I'm sorry.
No worries. We'll get you into the next one. We got time.
Okay.